As you can see in the images, the slight flexion in my forearm around the elbow joint during the downswing and at impact affects the amount of force I generate, as the path of the club head is affected due to my main lever, my arm, being shortened. The further the club head travels around the central pivot point, the longer it has to generate power. The flexion of the elbow joint during the downswing and at impact causes the lever to be shortened. Therefore, the club head does not travel as far and as quickly compared to having a straight arm shown in the image of Rodney. The principle of force motion is also affected. By sequencing larger muscles first to generate maximum power and then smaller muscles to generate maximum acceleration, the distance the ball travels will be affected. In my example of the elbow being flexed, we can see that the arm muscles such as the wrist flexor and tricep of the front arm are being triggered too early, at the same time as the larger muscles such as the deltoids and latissimus dorsi. This means less power and acceleration is generated during the downswing, as smaller muscles are not used for power, so by the time the club head impacts the ball, the speed the club head is travelling is not as fast as it could potentially be, resulting in the ball to travel less through the air. Compared to Rodney, as you can see in the aligned images at impact, his downswing is much faster than mine, and this is due to the incorrect sequencing of body segments during my downswing. Projectile motion is also affected due to the flexion of my arm. Because the arm is flexed, the downswing is steep, meaning instead of having a smooth downswing, the path is shortened. This means I have to counter the steep path of the club head so it does not create a larger divot and get under the ball too much by lifting my body, meaning I top the ball. This affects the path of the ball through flight, as the ball will travel along the ground because I'm not hitting down on the ball, instead I'm hitting the top of the ball, causing it to hit down into the ground. This fault is fixed by keeping my arm straight during the downswing. This will help me create more force and hit the ball sweetly, creating the ball to travel further in the air. The fault in my setup is due to me standing too close to the ball. This is affecting the swing arc, as it is decreased. There are three biomechanical principles which are affected. As shown in the image, and my back angle is 36 degrees compared to Rodney's back angle, which is 48 degrees. This means I am more upright, evidently making me top the ball on impact, and therefore the ball skims along the ground. Rodney's back angle allows the club face to travel further through the swing compared to mine, as the pivot point and where he swings from, his body, is further away from the ball. This means that as well as travelling further, the club face travels faster as it has more time to pick up speed. This fault makes the club face travel slower, meaning at impact the club face will connect with the ball with less momentum, and then the ball will not travel as far. This is because my lever is shorter and doesn't travel as far as Rodney's. Projectile motion is acted upon due to the fault. As the club face comes down steeper on the ball is forced to travel low to the ground. This is also because as I do not get under the ball due to my upright body position, also contributing to the low trajectory of the ball during flight. The angle of impact is the angle the club face connects with the ball. So if the club face impacts the ball and it is able to get under the ball will travel through the air on the angle of the club face. But if the ball is topped on impact, the ball will end up travelling low to the ground, as the projectile has been changed due to the higher impact point on the ball. Newton's third law is present in this fault. It states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So when the club impacts the ball, which is the action, the reaction is the ball projecting itself off the club. Because the fault tends to make me hit the top of the ball will project itself in a path in which it has been directed, because topping the ball forces the ball to travel into the ground. The ball will travel along the ground instead of up in the air when the ball is hit with the correct angle on the club. It will travel in a straight line and continue to do so unless other forces act upon it, in this case wind or gravity. I can fix this fault by standing further away from the ball. This will make my lever longer, which will enable me to gain more force. It will also mean I am in a lower position and my back angle is not as steep, which will enable me to hit down on the ball better. The third fault I am discussing is having an open club face during the downswing and at impact. The open club face affects the direction the ball travels, and it will force you to slice the ball. It will also make the ball spin in the air away from the target. I will explain two biomechanic principles to prove the fault. The first one is Newton's first law of inertia. This states that an object will remain at rest unless an external force acts upon it, and will continue to travel in the direction in which the force was acting upon the object. As you can see in the images, my club face is opening, meaning the ball is going to travel in the direction the force was acting upon it. In this case, it is going away from the target. The ball eventually lands on the ground. It is slowed down due to the external forces of friction, air resistance, and gravity. The principle of projectile motion also acts upon the ball due to the fault in my swing, and makes the ball swing or spin in the air. Because the club head does not impact the ball straight in line with the target, the ball is forced to slice, and because the ball connects with the side of the club face, the force produced creates side spin in the air. This is also called the Magnus effect, because the ball curves away from its principal flight path. The opening of the face is due to the rotation of the wrist, involving the radius and ulna in the front arm. This is due to a weak grip causing the face to open up. The hand goes from a neutral position with the palm facing towards the target to a prone position, which forces the club face to open up and therefore slicing the ball. I can fix this fault by holding the club in my hand a little tighter, by making sure I always roll my wrists over in the follow-through to keep the club face aiming towards the target in a neutral position during the impact. This will enable the ball to be hit in a straight line.